Richard Brothers, Cardiff. They're really expensive.
Welcome to the Brooklands 2019 motorcycle show. This is the annual event that is put on by the motorcycle team together with the museum. And behind me here are the museum's bikes, which are usually out, and it's an excuse to use them and make some noise with them. In addition to that, we've got an eclectic collection of exhibitors, bikes, and just people generally enjoying themselves, and we'll take a walk around and pick up some of the interesting bikes and some just normal people who are here enjoying their day with their motorcycle. Yeah, Brooklands Trust members here with a couple of bikes doing their usual to promote the museum. As you can see, they're pretty busy today. Membership is I'm going to say is obligatory. Interested in motorcycling and the museum. Zoe, travel writer and traveller extraordinaire, follows the team around.
Hi John, thank you so much for your invitation today at the Brooklands Motorcycle Show. What beautiful weather we've got, and I'm privileged to be with obviously the trust members, but we've got a lot of people here, a lot of people that know me, a lot of people that don't know me, so that's what it's all about. And look at those bikes over up on the hill. We've probably got at least, what, 300 or 400 out there today. The weather's perfect, and I'm just very interested and happy and looking forward to seeing everyone here.
Good, thanks for that. We do good with the weather. We've done this for 15 years and I can only think of one wet day, so.
Every time I come to Brooklands, it's sunny.
Meet Zoe Carlo, the famous lady long-distance adventure rider.
We have here Michael Sands, who is the motorcycle, I was going to say aficionado, but he runs the motorcycle team. And he's been doing this for something like 15 years with me. What about today then, Mike?
Well, once the PA started to work and I could stop panicking about whether I was going to have to stand on the roof and shout, then I think it was a great day. With wonderful weather conditions like this, it should be just right for people to ride in, and the finishing straight is beginning to fill up. And the morning test hill session is sold out, so things are looking pretty good, and we've got a lot of interesting single machines around the place that haven't been here before, so yeah, it's a good day.
Good day. But we always have a little glitch somewhere along the way, don't we, and we usually get over them. Anyway, good to see you back on the microphone, and I'll go on my way with this gentleman. So we have here the British Motorcycle Racing Club, which used to be the Brooklands Motorcycle Racing Club, which was started in 1909. The circuit was built in 1907. The first motorcycle race was 1908. And recognising that there need to be some structure and organisation, the aficionados at the time got together, met in London, and established this motorcycle racing club. What you've got to remember in these days was that there was no rules, there were no regulations, nobody had ever done it before. And the only thing that they could really model it on was horse racing. So this is why you've got things like paddock and a lot of equine references, which the motorcycle people have quickly brought into folklore. True. And we have here Mick Dommett, who is the CEO of BMC, who he does a fantastic job in organising a BMC race series. The BMW has been modified over the years to BMC, and if you refer to BMC, people know who it is. If you do the official title, they won't have a clue who it is. Anyway, pass you on to Mike. And what do you think about today then, Mike? Can you give us just a bit of history about what you've got here and etc.?
It's wonderful to be here. We've put this stand up, and it recognises that the club was founded in 1909 at this very site. So many people who were car enthusiasts at that time muscled their way in and said, we want to have a go on the banked track on our motorcycles. And the club was formed in 1909 here at Brooklands, and so we keep a strange affinity with this place. There's a wonderful exhibition of old memorabilia of BMC in the Campbell Sheds, I think it is, and that's where our main trophy for our Champion of Champions lives, the Milano Trophy. Got it over here. Do you want to come and have a look?
I just had, while we were walking across, they had to separate the cars and the motorcycles, so they put a piece on the back, so the motorcyclists with a little bit of grease and oil on them were kept away from the clean car people.
That's right, yeah. And it was originally awarded for a race called the Hutchinson 100, which was quite famous in its day. That went up to 1976, was the last time it was run in its proper form. And that was either run at Silverstone or it was run later at Brands. And it was a 100-mile race in the opposite direction. So health and safety doesn't allow us to do that these days. So the last winner of the 100, Hutchinson 100 at Brands, and his name is on this, is Barry Sheen. but anybody who was anybody in motorcycle racing, Duke, Halewood, Surtees, Sheen, all the names are on here, and now we use this as our champion of champions every year, so the best performer in all of our club races wins this at the end of the season. So BEMSI now, 110 years later, and that's why we're here, it's our 110th anniversary, is one of the largest, if not the largest club racing operation in the country. And a typical meeting, we've got one coming up at Brands on the GP circuit in a couple of weeks' time, and a typical meeting fields well over 300 riders, and that's how we make the club successful these days, because the cost of hiring circuits now is obscene, to say the least, and so these poor riders are paying £350 a go for a weekend's entertainment, and that's what keeps the club going along. So it's very strong, one of the best and one of the most successful, and we feed a lot of kids through into the national competitions. We're running kids from 12-year-old, 13, in some of our junior series as well. And we've got a bike pretty well representing every class that we're running in this modern era on the stand today, including sidecars, which is my original love as a driver 15 years ago. So there you go, John, that's why we're here.
That's why you're here. Well, I must add to that we did a centenary celebration, if you remember, at Brooklands.
Yes, I do.
And Brooklands motorcycle team put together as many representative bikes as we could get. And then you guys did the modern bit, which was a lot easier because there's more bikes around, but we had a great time at Brands 10 years ago.
That's right, yeah,
And
that's right.
I will be there next week with my more modern bike in one of the parades. But I'll just add that the work that you do, I think is exemplary. The events are so well organised, and this is not any stretch of the imagination selling you, but it is, and it's a pleasure. The atmosphere, because I think you being here, you get a feel for the atmosphere at Brooklands, and you recreate it at your events.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks very much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
So come to a BEMSI meeting, everybody.
Yeah, we're very fortunate today to have major manufacturer here in Triumph. We get a lot of support from Triumph, who look on us with good light. And I'm going to take us round now to Dick Shepherd, who is, it's difficult to describe Dick, but you know, he's an aficionado of Triumph twins. He lives, eats, sleeps, drinks, and probably has sleepless nights about Triumph twins. And he's got a fantastic collection, all of which he's renovated and put into good order. And the Wickstead Triumph, which is now in his collection, used to be in the museum, and it holds the 500cc lap record at Brooklands, and it's a supercharged Triumph twin. He's got three, again, iconic bikes here today, and we'll let him tell his story. And this is Dick Shepherd and his only three of his many bikes. So what have you got here today?
Well, we got the very first Bonneville. This was the pre-production Bonneville. It was going to go into production in this colour, but the Americans didn't like the blue and white. So what they done was, when the bikes were released in September '58, they changed to tangerine and pearl grey. And this was the first production colour. But then mid-season, April '59, the Americans decided they didn't like this colour again. So then they went back to pearl grey and royal blue mid-season. So yeah, this is the very first Bonneville, July '58, the only one in this colour. Lots of little other bits and pieces that are slightly different. This one here is a '59 Bonnie. This raced at the Thruxton 500 mile race. It's prepared to the factory. There was only 13 of these ever built. And they went to all the preferred dealers that Triumph had that were racing bikes. This one went to Kings of Oxford. But unfortunately the magneto packed up in the Thruxton 500 mile race. But this is a 1960 Thruxton. This is one of 12. This has got a special frame with a lug on here for the rear set. And This one was ridden by Alan Dugdale. He came 12th in the 60 Thruxton 500 mile race, and in 61 he came 5th, and also in 1960 he won the Clubman's TT. So yeah, very significant time.
You're wearing the factory visitor experience shirt. I think half of your bikes are in there now. Is that
Well,
the biggest experience?
Well, we've got a few up there, and we keep trying to get more. And where they've opened the factory visitor experience, there's a part next door. It's called Goods Inwards. Well, we're trying to get goods inwards, goods outwards, so we can get more space there. I am working on John Bloor at the moment, so hopefully, thumbs up, we'll get there eventually.
Right. What do you think about today then?
Hey, very good, yeah, it's great. I love this place. It's just got that feeling whenever you come here, as if, especially when there's nobody about, when you walk in here, it's that eerie feeling that the guys are following you around and they want to chat to you about the old bikes and everything. Yeah, it's an amazing place. It's getting better every year. Yeah, really good.
There's plenty of noise in there.
Well, you can't beat a bit of noise.
Thanks very much, Dick.
No problem.
Today? Is it going to get up the hill? Yes. Where's Sheila?
Yeah, somewhere.
Oh, down there? Yeah. She's not there.
Oh, typical.
This is a 250 ballast set, which I've got one on, but mine's a 390, so that gives you an idea of what would have been used here in the pre-war. Give you an idea of the appeal of this place. You've got modern bikes here. I don't know what it is. It's a BMW, and people want to ride Test Hill, which is what they're trying to do. But if we move across, you've got some. This is one of the volunteers' Triumphs, and these are the sort of bikes that would have been ridden at Brooklands. And we have a rather interesting AGS here, which slightly apprehensive looking rider getting ready to take up on Test Hill. Would you like to say something before you go up Test Hill?
Yeah, it's a 1926 HAS TT replica. It's been up the hill before. It still gets used for sprints and hill climbs.
You won't wheelie it out at the top of the hill,
No,
will you?
I doubt it.
No. Good luck. This is Sheila Neal. She doesn't like being interviewed on the start line.
I hate it.
I noticed the outfit is without a rider. I know. Yes.
I'm the
I
rider.
know.
Come up with me if you want.
No. What have we got here? Complete range of bikes. Thanks Norton. James Trials bike. This is the sidecar that Sheila will be riding, and I can tell you she is seriously quick on it. This is one of the volunteers on a modern bike. This is John Young, who is sprint guy. Would you like to say a word?
Hope it'll be alright, I think, John.
You're going to give it some welly, are you?
Hopefully, yes.
No, this is Sheila. No, I did. You'll enjoy yourself, aren't you? this is Fred, one of the volunteers on Empire Star recreation, which is the basis of the bike for the Gold Star that won the Gold Star here. Any comment?
Yeah, I hope I got something new actually, because it's not running very well.
Well, if you don't, it's down to rider and machine preparation.
Could be, yeah.
I'll let this man explain what this is.
This is LPD1, a Norton that was built as part of the Nigel Spring team in 1927, and the engine of this machine powered the first 500cc motorcycle to do 100 miles in an hour. So quite unusual.
You think you'll get up the hill?
I'll see.
I would add this has been ridden at Goodwood.
Yeah, that's right. This is a trial for Goodwood. If it doesn't, we're going to have to do some work on it.
This is Roger Bird, who is, I was going to say historian, part of the motorcycle team, written a countless number of books about building Brooklands, and the inside story to Brooklands, as far as it's been possible to recreate from fact and whatever. So if you want to know anything, look for his books in the shop or on the internet.
Thank you.
Would you like to tell me what it is?
It used to be a drag bike, built by myself in 1995-96. Used to drag race it, Super Twins. Bike stood on a business, bike stood 15, 16 years. Plus, my wife got breast cancer about 3.5 years ago. All good now. Decided life too short, and this is what came out of it. So, yeah, all good.
Have you been up the hill before?
No, no.
Well, I would suggest that you keep it under 5,000. And probably second to do, but you might take off at the end.
Yeah, I will do,
The
yeah.
right-hand turn at the end.
I know that. Lovely. Cheers.
How are you? Yeah. This is a bike that's kept in the museum, Rex Acme. Very famous make of bike, which will be raced at Brooklands many times and with good results. You're confident you're going to get up the hill?
I'm confident well made, of course. Sometimes I Brooklands to you.
See you. Test Hill was a test for motor cars, and it has 3 changes of elevation in it with a wooden board across each. And the idea was that a car would pull up to the board, put the handbrake on, stop, and then set off again. And it would deem to have passed if it could achieve that at each hill, at each demarcation on the hill. In the good old days, they used to race side by side up here, And I think I'm right in saying that the record is something around just over 5 seconds up the hill with 2 bikes in parallel. You get an idea of the camaraderie here that and these bikes need 2 people at least, and there's always somebody around to give you a push. They don't like being kept warm, ticking over. Just as Sheila has damaged her hand, but that's not a difficulty. But she just cracked a rib last week, so she's riding it with a cracked rib. Sunbeam Motorcycle Club, very important in the pre-war motorcycle fraternity.
Yes, indeed. It's not to be mistaken. It's not a club for sunbeams only. It's a club for all makes up to 1940, and we have various events for veteran vintage and post-vintage machines. Our most famous run, of course, is the Pioneer Run, which we have run since 1930, and it was our 80th run in 2019. There's a guy who has actually entered and finished the event on the same machine, and he accomplished 60 runs this year, which is something amazing.
Absolutely, especially on the type of machine in modern traffic.
Yes, he had a 1912 Douglas, but as I say, he's ridden that machine on every run that he's entered, and succeeded as well.
People watching this may not appreciate that these bikes, many of them have no clutches. You have to push them and stop them, and their brakes are not exactly wonderful, if that's one way of putting it.
That's a little bit minimal, so you have to watch what the traffic is doing around you and try and judge what they're doing. The Pioneer Run is London to Brighton, as I mentioned earlier, and we've been running this since 1930. It's machines pre-1915, and we have over 300 entries from all over the world, including this country, Belgium, Holland, France, Germany, and even as far as Czechoslovakia and another place, I can't think of the other place. Anyway, out in South America anyway.
Maybe a quick word about the Hazelwood, which I'm not particularly familiar with, but I recognise the fact that people won't understand, possibly watching this, that they operate with hand throttle.
Yes.
Maybe explain that.
Yes, the hand throttle is here. The top lever is for air, and the bottom is for the fuel supply. So you have to adjust the mixture according to the needs of the engine at the time, and it can affect, weather can affect that need. Here we've got the front brake, is an ordinary bicycle.
And the front brake is like a modern push bike brake.
That's right, which is quite good for keeping the rim clean, but it doesn't do a lot more. There is a rear brake which I could operate for you.
No, it's okay, we can, I think, just stay here.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing people want to understand is the acetylene lamp.
The acetylene lamp is, it works on acetylene gas, in that you have water in this top container and carbide in the bottom container. You open the valve to drip water into the carbide, which produces acetylene gas, which you then ignite with a match to the burner in the front. And there is a reflector in there to maximise the beam.
I think one of the Achilles heels of a lot of these bikes is they took fire quite easily, didn't they?
It has happened, yes.
And then, of course, does it?
Yes, we have that.
Yes.
So here we've got the clutch to the rear wheel. There's an Armstrong 3-speed epicyclic gear in there, operated by this lever. So the clutch, 3-speed gear. On the other side we've got the advancement tub for the magneto spark, which is a Bosch one, just here. And on the other side we've got what's the other side? Oh, it's got the brake on the other side.
And what year is this?
1912.
1912. So just putting this in perspective,
Yeah.
Brooklands opened in 1907. The first motorcycle race here was in 1908,
Yeah.
and that was won by a thing called NLG, which is the North London Garage.
Yes.
And having seen and been here when that was in our recreation, the frame was a little bit stronger than this, but not much, and it had a 1000cc Anzani engine in it, and it was geared to 70 miles an hour.
Yes.
So it was a minimal bike, if I could say that. And anyway, thank you very much for explaining this.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
So we have here the Norton Owners Club. I don't think Norton needs any introduction. It's got a racing pedigree, par, nothing. But the one interesting bike here is the ex-Dennis Jenkinson, Max Norton. Dennis was, as people who knew about these things, was the Formula One editor of motorsport for many years, and he was also instrumental in setting up the museum here and played an important part in the very early days of the museum. A lot of people realised that he actually used to ride motorbikes, and this is ironically, I was at the very first Goodwood Festival of Speed, and I had the honour of giving him a push because he was there on his own, and he was having difficulty starting what was now then it was a Manx Norton with a BSA engine in it, which he used to sprint and hill climb. And now, just a little bit of a summary of what this bike actually is.
It was totally rebuilt by one of our members, and it's an ex-Jenkins Manx Norton, and he totally rebuilt it, and it's now almost as if Jenkins raced it.
Because this would be what Jeff Duke started his racing career on, with the solid back end rather than the, well, not solid, but not the swinging arm, which came along a little bit later.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah?
Yes, garden
Good,
front.
okay.
Yes.
Now you have another interesting bike here
Yes,
that
the
you know more about.
Yes.
So this you think is unique?
Yes, yes.
Could you tell us a little about it?
This is a 1958 500 Nomad, Norton Nomad. They only ever made just over 40 of them. Hat Jones of True Clinton Park in San Francisco imported 181 Nomads. This was the only 500 they imported. In the whole of North America or the USA, only 4 Nomads were imported. They made a 500 and a 600, and I've also got a 600, but the 600 held the #1 plate in the desert in the 1959 system, District 37 Mojave Desert. This is unique. If you want a Nomad, only one Nomad was ever sold in England, went to a gentleman in Derby, but this was, when it came back from Baxter Cycle, was bad. I mean, it was really horrible, and lots of people never thought I could do it. It took me a long time. I bought it in 1991, and it took me a long time to get it as it is. And it's unique. How many? They were raced on the quarter mile, the half mile. They was raced in the desert. They was raced in hill climbs, and they was also a road racer. So basically, the Nomad did virtually everything. And as an off-road bike, they are just beautiful. And you just look at them, and they're unique. The exhaust system is unique. The petrol tank is unique. The 600 had a white top with black sides. The 500 had a black top with white sides. The reason why they did that, so when the bikes were out on test, because they looked exactly the same, the factory go, oh, that's a 500 because it's got a black top, or it's a 600 because it's got a white top. The frame is modelled on an ES2 single down tube frame. The front forks are outside springs. The handlebars are special. It had twin carburetors, Amel 276s. The reason was because the Americans used to like to race on dope, so they, if they had, these ones didn't froth so much. And also, Norton got a very good deal for Amel. Most of it, a lot of it is unique. The brake pedal, the air cleaners, which are mounted on the rear mudguard. It's got the rectifier mounted on the rear mudguard as well. But it's just a beautiful machine.
This would be competing against the BSAs?
Yeah, well, it can be against the BSAs, the GATCSs, the Velisets, and this 600 held the #1 plate in the desert.
Yeah. There's one thing I've ridden in the desert, and you need horsepower.
Yes, and the 500. That was dispatched in 1958, but the engine number is stamped 16p, so it was sold in 59. And when that bike was rolling around San Francisco, the prison, Alcatraz, was still a prison. So maybe the previous owner rode out to the bay and looked at Alcatraz when he owned that bike.
Here we have the VMC's, Brooklands section of the VMCC. When we started the motorcycle team here, we arranged and organised for the VMCC to meet during the winter in Brooklands, which is a historic link going back quite a number of years. Here's a collection of their bikes. The Vintage Motorcycle Club was started by Titch Allen in 1946 and boasts about 14,500 members around the country with about 80 sections. But it gives you an idea of the range of bikes, and anybody's bike is eligible against a 25-year rule, so it's got to be at least 25 years old. So we now get quite a number of Japanese bikes, etc. And as you can see, quite a nice mix of 197 Villiers James Trials bikes to damn great big BMWs and a 1912 or something Pioneer Run bike, just to give you an idea, and then everything in between: Triumph Twins, Triumph Triples, Gold Star, Silver Star, no, Gold Star, sorry, and an XT500 Enduro bike, which is they're quite a bike to ride off-road.
I put the times down.